Yo, what is up? How's it going, people? I'm excited to come back here and talk to you guys today. Last week, it's funny, I did a stream, and after the end of the stream, it was supposed to like auto save and figure out what it's doing, and YouTube like never actually like replayed it. So I don't know what happened. It like got corrupted, so I wasn't even able to like rewatch it, so nobody was able to rewatch it. But more importantly, I was consistent and I did a video last Monday. So for me, self-conscious wise, I did it. I checked that box, and today we're doing it again, baby. So let's try this again. Welcome back to the channel. This is Jerry B, and today we're going to be talking about finances. We typically talk about real estate, assets, architecture, things like that. Today we're going to be diving into my purchase of buying a Tesla Model Y, and I also installed some solar panels on my roof, but I wanted to break down the why, the reasoning, maybe some of those financial kind of backing behind that. I figured it'd be good to talk about because some people may be curious as to if buying a Tesla, if installing solar panels is a financially sound thing to do. So I kind of wanted to just break down my experiences in that kind of notion, and also why I think it's the right thing to do. But before getting into it, a little shout out to today's sponsors is Traza Design and Buckland Plaza. Traza Design and Buckland is my businesses that I co-founded. Traza Design is an architectural design business specializing in residential and commercial real estate, renovations, things like that. I'm designing a lot of like in-law suites right now. So it's funny, I'm in the process of doing that, and I think in a week or so I'll probably do another deep dive of a design that I'm doing. But that's kind of the trend right now going into 2022, is a lot of in-laws being developed into their single-family houses. I see a lot of parents moving in with their kids. Buckland Plaza is a strip mall that we're developing in Providence. Exciting stuff. Slow progress, but progress nonetheless. But it's exciting stuff. Anyways, so that's kind of the end of my little shout out there, shameless plug. But without further ado, I want to go in, and before I talk about this purchase of the Tesla and the installation of my solar panels, I wanted to kind of talk about how I got here and why I got here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and cut to a screen, a little picture that I have up here. And here we go. So we have a picture of, these kind of charts. I have three of them, 1, 2, 3. And this comes straight out of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right over here. I'm going through this again. And some people have read this book, so others haven't, so I'm just going to cap it on these three images, and I just want to make mention of that because it was kind of life-changing for me a couple years ago, and it made me understand, the cycle of money, right? The flow of money, how it kind of comes in and out of our pockets, and this really helped me understand like the thought process behind that. So if you haven't read this book, I encourage you to do so. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It's a very great book. It's very cheap. You can buy it on Amazon. I highly recommend you buy this and read this book when you get a chance. If you don't, and if you haven't already, and again, if you want to understand a little bit more of that financial understanding. So I took these pictures straight out of the book, and these are highlighting three different buckets of life. And the first bucket is called poor, right? This is the poor category, and this is describing somebody who receives an income from their job and they pay their bills, whether that be taxes, rent, food, transportation, clothes. Those are their expenses, right? Everybody has an income source, everybody has an expense source, and this is describing, again, the poor mentality of you make money and you spend it. Boom. Doesn't really do anything, it just comes in and out, and you live life, right? The next category is the middle class, and people who may be following my channel may follow a little bit more onto this realm of things. This is where you receive an income with your job, and with that income you are paying your bills, right? Taxes, rent, maybe mortgage, car payment, and then you also have, again, debt, right? School loans, car loans, mortgage, things like that. So you're paying all these expenses. Your expenses just got a little bigger, but again, this is kind of including liabilities into that mix. And then you pay your bills and you live your life. And that last category is the rich category. And so the rich category is basically explaining, it's funny, it's a very simplified version of this, but it's explaining that this person uses their assets to pay their expenses. So this person doesn't have a job like how we see jobs, right? 9 to 5. Maybe they do, but in this oversimplified example, they have their assets, which is real estate, stocks, right, bonds, notes, intellectual property, paying on a monthly basis, on a passive level, all their expenses. Okay. Now, the reason why I want to make mention of this is because this is where I personally want to be. I personally want to be fully into this category, and so everything I do on a day-in-and-day basis, week in, week out, year by year, I am making moves to put myself into this bucket. I want to put myself into this bucket because it's going to make it so that I can live a more balanced lifestyle. I don't have to worry about the 9 to 5, hustle, right? Hustle. It's a hustle. It's a grind, and there's a lot of cons again with that grind, and not something against working for a company. And I really enjoyed my last job working at a firm. We designed dentist offices, and it was actually very satisfying for me to do. So it's nothing against that, but I've seen it firsthand, directly, indirectly, where somebody who had loyalty, right, over 10, 15, 20 years into a job, get fired over a misdemeanor, get fired over something that was random, and all of a sudden their life is uprooted, they have to figure out something different. And so it seems super risky to lay your eggs all on that basket of, paying all your expenses on this job that could be taken away from you. So that's why personally I want to get into more assets. I want to learn how to get more passive income. I want to learn how to save more money. I want to learn how to do all that stuff so that I can live a more balanced and less stressful life. So that kind of puts me back into this category, the middle category. This is kind of where I'm at now. I have income coming in from different places. I have a couple of assets. It's a merge between this category and the category that I ultimately want to be fully in, right? But more importantly, this thought process is where I want to start, because there are income streams that we want to think about, like a job, right? And raises, where I think we tend to default towards. We tend to gravitate towards the idea that if we get a better job, better raise, then we can afford more things, right? But today in this video, I want to explain how protecting your money can also be like a raise, right? Protecting it, saving money could be a way that you can keep more money in your pocket, thus making more money to be spent elsewhere, put on assets. And so I think, again, a lot of my peers, I've had discussions where that concept doesn't really exist. So again, just diving into that a little bit. And the reason why I say protecting your money is because there are places we put our money into on our liability side that things will devalue very fast. And in this case, we're talking about cars, car loans. You can see it right here, boom. And so let's go ahead and jump into the car purchase that I bought, which is a Tesla. Fantastic machine. Oh my gosh. This is a 2021 quick specs, 2021 Model Y. It's the base white color with the optional, I think it's a 21-inch black wheels, turbine wheels. We also got the optional 7-seat package, so it comes with third row seats. And we got it as a family vehicle. So my wife and I, we both have cars. We sold her car at a profit, right? So I had equity in that car. I pulled my equity out of that car and combined that equity with some investments, some profits that I had in other areas, combined it, and I put it in this car. And so The reason being is that I've been a Tesla fan for years. 10 years, I would say I've been following, ever since the inception. The first Model S, I remember this. Not really the Roadster years. I would say I'm not an OG like that. But once they introduced the Model S, I really started like, my ears are like, yo, Elon, what are you doing? And so, yeah, I've had my eyes on this company for a very, very long time. And so, more recently, you know, I would say back 2019 or so, I started to really think about investing in the company, because Elon was not letting up. His concept was actually executing properly. It was hitting, you know, and so he was coming up with a car that was efficient. It was getting better mileage. You could charge it at home at a huge savings rate. You know, and the maintenance was like uber low. And so I'm starting to see the numbers on this Tesla versus the gas vehicles that we drive, and I'm like, man, this starts to seem really appealing. You know, not for nothing, like there's a lot of savings when you think about an EV. And so I ran the numbers. You know, it wasn't until my buddy bought one and I went to go pick his up. He got a Model 3, and that was the day I drove it. I guess I got behind the wheel, and I went straight home and I crunched numbers. I'm like, wait a minute, let's really look at what we got here. And so, long story short, let me go to and just give you some like a breakdown of the numbers. And again, I wish I had another slide. I really got to get a whiteboard set up. I got a whiteboard here, but it's not really set up for you guys to really see what's on that on back there. But so this car came out to around 60, right? Which is a lot. It's a lot. I was not planning on spending that much. I don't want to spend that much. Why am I spending that much? Okay, but it's helpful to understand what we got rid of in order to get into this and where we put in this. And now bringing it back to that mindset of how do you protect your money. I had my money originally into a Mazda, right? It's 2014 Mazda CX-5. We had the car for a couple of years. We bought it for $21,000, I think, at the time. And then it devalues every single year that we drive it. Every single time we put miles on it, it just gets lower and lower and lower, right? And so we had to pull the trigger because at this point, it was at the point where if we drive it anymore, if we hit 90,000 miles in this car, the value of this car is just going to tank and we're going to have nothing left. We might as well just keep it forever. But we were at the point where we could still pull, you know, I want to say like 8K, something like that, out of the car. And so I figured that if we pull the equity out of this car, stop the bleeding, right? That's what we do. Stop the bleeding on the money that we originally put in this, and put it in another bucket that's going to sit there and actually hold the money for a long time. That'll be a little bit more worth it. And so when you start to break down the monthly cost of the two vehicles, that's when things got interesting. Now on the Mazda, although it's a super efficient car, our family would drive and spend about $160 a month or so on gas, which is not a whole lot, but we didn't drive a whole lot. We don't drive a lot. We have the luxury of working from home. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and so the commuting that we do isn't to work. Is to go get groceries, is to go to church, is to go visit family, things like that. And so we have a $160 bill, let's call it that, for gas on this vehicle, on the Mazda vehicle. And in addition to that, we have things like oil changes that we have to put into, maintenance stuff. We have stupid stuff that went wrong in that car. Not a whole ton, but they were very irregular, you know, things that like, okay, you gotta figure this out. And for me, I wasn't gonna pay a mechanic to do that. I was gonna do it myself. Good thing I did it myself because I saved a lot of money doing that. But it was maintenance stuff that had to do with the gas vehicle, okay? It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It's just common stuff that happens from this type of car. You know, so there's a number that you can associate with maintenance on a gas vehicle. And so we still had a monthly payment as well, right? We didn't have the whole car note on the car. We still had a monthly payment. And so my theory at this point was that if you take the Mazda's car payment, you add the maintenance costs associated with that on a yearly basis or a monthly basis, however you want to do it, add the gas associated with this, I think that you would spend as much as you would on the monthly payment of a Tesla. And so that was the theory that I had in my head as I started crunching the numbers. And that was the case. That was actually the case. So what I did is I sold the Mazda. I took the equity that I had over there. I sold a couple stocks. I sold a couple crypto coins, right? Hashtag Dogecoin. I want to actually quick shout out to Dogecoin. I jumped into that back in December 2019, I guess I would say, 2020, right before it was like a thing. And it was actually because Elon tweeted something about Dogecoin. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to throw some money at it. That was literally my conversation. And so it exploded. I'm going to be honest, it exploded. You know, so whatever. I cashed out a little bit. I still have some Dogecoin, so hashtag like to the moon, you know. But you know, I added that equity, you know, to the car equity, and then some of that private stash that I had, and I put it in this car, and the monthly payment is lower, I would say, hopefully lower than what I used to pay on a monthly basis for my Mazda. So now I want to say, for this example, I'm going to say that they're apples to apples, right? That they're equal base. What I used to spend on the Mazda is now what I spend on the monthly payment for the Tesla. And so the added benefit is that I really don't have to pay gas like that anymore. I charge up. It's a 100% electric vehicle, and so all I have to do is plug into my house, and it charges the car. For us, we still have a level 1 charger, but my plan here is that if the forums are correct and a Tesla only takes up about $30 a month in electricity costs to charge up your car and to use your car, then I'm in good shape. I only have to spend $30 additional in my electrical bill. And so, given that I've owned this car now for about 5 months, I would say, I can confirm that is true. My bill has been up on average $30, $40, give or take, my electric bill. And so, you know, the forums are correct. For the amount of driving we do, it goes up around that much. Now, taking a step further, I wanted to understand how I can save that money off of my electric bill. Hence the idea of going solar. And so, real quick, I just want to take a pause before I get into the solar side. Drop a comment below if you are interested in asking me a question as I go through here. I'm going to keep going in case you guys don't. I have the chat viewer open on my other screen, so we can kind of keep just diving away here. So I started exploring the cost of going solar. That way, again, I can save money on my electrical bill. Now, theoretically, if I save money on my electrical bill, then I won't have to pay for my driving costs, okay? So we already know that we eliminated a lot of the costs of the fuel, but can I do that even further by eliminating a lot of my costs of my electrical bill? And so let's just think about this as a new chapter. I'm looking at my solar now, looking at my electrical bill, and seeing how, you know, we can kind of figure this out. What are the numbers? Let's just talk to somebody, right? I have a house. It's a pretty simple roof setup. It's a raised ranch. I get a really good sun exposure. I don't have a lot of trees here. What can I do to you know, to really, you know, like, what do the numbers look like? And so I called a guy. I called this company called Venture Solar, and you know, they came by. They gave me some numbers. They gave me some estimates. They looked at my bill to see where we're at, and I got a good understanding of how it works and how, you know, they can incentivize me and how they get incentivized back. It's like this thing. And so for a hot second, I'm going to be a little advocator on solar, because right now, right, given that we're in 2022, there's this big push to go like EV, big push to go sustainable and like save the world. There's a lot of incentives. Here in Rhode Island, our utility company, National Grid, they have a lot of rebates, a lot of programs in our bills that we pay for, okay, to help other people get sustainable. And so I encourage you, if you do right? If you live in Rhode Island, live in New England, or wherever you guys live, look at your utility bills. You'll see that some of the line items that you pay for go into a fund, a renewable energy fund, and so that fund helps bring the cost of these installation costs way down for these guys. And so because of that, these guys are able to offer me 0% interest, okay? 0% interest, okay? Zero money down, 25-year loan, 25-year warranties, right? These manufacturers, this is LG products, Enphase batteries. So these are 25-year warranties, and there's rebates. There's rebates for having batteries. That means National Grid will give me a check every quarter just for using my batteries. And so like offers like that is pretty insane. Oh, sorry, I want to mention the 26% tax credit that you get from Daddy Biden. You know, and this is huge stuff. So if you're a homeowner, I would consider at least hearing the numbers out for you guys. You know, I think you should find it interesting enough to at least explore it. So, needless to say, I have a couple of my neighbors like looking into it as well to see what they can do to save money. But here are some of my numbers, and I'll tell you why I pulled the trigger and signed up right away. So, because I bought a Tesla, there were certain things that I had to do. I was thinking about charging, and so when you own an EV car, you have to understand that there's different levels of charging, and they have to do with speed. So there's level 1, which means I'm charging my car from a 120 volt outlet. So like, boom, I just plug it into the wall. That's level 1. Level 2 is if I'm using 240 volts of electricity from my house, and that is the equivalent of like a dryer vent, like a dryer plug, something like that. That's level 2. That's like 10 times faster than level 1, by the way. And then level 3 is what you see at the Tesla supercharger stations. Those are the super quick. You charge your whole vehicle, you know, basically to 100% in like a half hour or so, right? So you got level 3, which is you could charge in like a half hour. Level 2 is when you could charge for in a couple hours. You could charge your whole battery. And then level 1, it'll take you over a day to charge your whole battery, okay, just as an example. And so, as I mentioned, we don't do a lot of driving, so level 1 has been totally fine the past 5 months for us. It's been totally fine. It gives us about 15% of battery energy per day, per night. So we wake up, we typically drive about 10 to 15%, and then at night we just charge that back. So it's totally a wash. It's totally fine for us. However, when there's times where we know we're going to drive a lot, that's when we have to consider stopping at a station or something like that. So needless to say, we've been wanting to install a level 2 charger at our house, you know, sooner or later. And so when I brought that up to the solar company, they said that they could do it. They could upgrade my panel service, which was 100 amps. So they'll upgrade it from 100 amps to 200 amps because I was capped. And on top of that, here's the icing on the cake, is that the panel was located in a room we have a bunch of kids' toys in it, and it's literally in this corner that have this little panel, as you can see here. But I used to have like a tree house right outside in front of this, right for the kids, and the kids are playing around it. And I hated the idea of all this electrical stuff here. I even had my Verizon, you know, modem was in this corner. It's just a terrible location because of the kids play here. And so I asked these guys, I'm like, hey, can you move this? Can you relocate this? Now, if you don't know the implications of relocating an electrical panel, I'll tell you this now, as an architecture designer, when I'm renovating a house, that's one of the things that I try not to do at all costs, because this one move is going to cost about $10,000 just to relocate this service for somebody, just because every single light fixture, every single light switch, every outlet home runs back to this one spot. So if you're looking to move this one spot, that's a whole lot of wires that they got to move. And so when I asked this question, I was really just kind of seeing how much I can, you know, squeeze out of this deal. And needless to say, they threw it in to the package. Okay, so zero down, 0% interest, $0 for them to move my electrical panel. And so here, I could not believe it. I'm signing away. I'm like, I will sign this as long as you say that that's true. And needless to say, boom, here they are moving my electrical panels, doing a fantastic job. By the way, look at this wiring. Like this makes my heart happy. Okay, the amount of control that they did, and just kind of like neat freak that they had. I love it. I love it. Shout out to the team, Venture Solar. Shout out to this team. They did a great job. But they upgraded my service, they moved it all. And so they put it into the garage where it should be. And here you can see it. You can see my electrical panel on the left-hand side, boom. You can see the M-phase like gateway switch. This is what tells the power from going from solar to, it tells it to go from backup power to main power. And so that's just a switch that I can log into from my app. They can log into it as well, just kind of like do diagnostics, things like that. Right here is my batteries, and then on top this is like my backup power. So my refrigerator, my lights on the main floor, some outlets, my Wi-Fi, things like that. So if I ever lose power, this gateway switch will automatically go to battery backup and then tell my refrigerator to stay on and all that stuff. And so yeah, man, I feel like I just got a lot of stuff, okay? I got a whole lot of stuff out of this deal. And as I was at the last day I was signing, I asked them, I'm like, okay guys, like how are you getting paid, man? How are you getting paid? I don't see how you guys get paid on this. Like, at all. Where's the profit? Where's your profit? And so he explained to me that although they're offering 0% interest, 0 money down, they get incentivized by National Grid for putting people online. Okay, so National Grid, again, with this bucket of fund that every single property owner pays, they're able to incentivize these solar companies to put people online. Right, so that's why you see them door knocking, offering these crazy deals, because they're gonna get paid anyways just for putting you online. So they can offer these awesome deals. And so if you are in a situation like me where you have a house that needs upgrades anyways, and you want to figure out how you can wrap this into it, consider going solar. Consider going solar, because this is saving some money. So let's keep going, right? I want to explain to you a little bit more about what's happening. I'll come back to this. And so we have here, we have solar on my roof. We have a couple of panels. Now, the way my utility provider works is that they go based off of the past 12 months of electrical usage. They average that out, and that amount of demand is what they will allow you to install on your roof. And so, in my case, my typical electrical bill was about, let's call it $200. Okay, $200 of electricity is what I tend to pay on a monthly basis. And so now that I have solar panels and I paid for this loan, I signed up for this loan and all this installation, my loan on these solar panels will bring me to around $140. Okay, that is a fixed fee for the next 25 years. Okay, so month one, going from 200 to 140, I'm saving $60 in my pocket. Month one. Now, as long as I live the same, right, the same amount of electrical usage, things like that, this amount of power should cover 100% of my usage, theoretically. And so I won't really have a utility bill, right? So the only bill I need to concern myself with is that $140 loan payment. Now, again, I'm simplifying the numbers just for this video, but over time, spending $140, right, a year from now, I'll see savings. A couple years from now, I'll see savings. And so the thing with electricity and utility bills, those go up every single year. Now, if anybody, again, homeowners, I know you guys are looking into this, but your bills go up a certain percentage every single year. And so my same $200 bill that I'm paying today may look like $250 in a couple of years, or $300 in a couple of years for the same amount of usage. You know what I mean? And so all while that usage gets more expensive, right? Because everybody's doing things, everybody's putting a demand on the infrastructure. I will still only be paying $140. And so now we have a huge like savings that are happening over years. And just for all you guys that are waiting for me to say it, the payoff period here, like that curve, is about 5 years for me. And so I'm saving a good amount of money back in my pocket that I could now disperse into other areas of my life. Hopefully I could put it back into assets, right? Like the Robert Kiyosaki graph from Rich Dad Poor Dad. You know, so I'm seeing it as a raise. I just got an income raise because I'm able to protect some money here. And so on the solar end, saving about $60 a month, just by making this move happen. And that's not to mention the some of those hard costs that I would have had to spend money on, right? The $10,000, you know, relocation, the $3,000 upgrade fee, right? Not to mention any of that. And then also the car, right? So back to the Tesla, it took me 3 months from the moment I ordered the car to the moment I received the car, to get it. It took 3 months of that time. And in that time period, the cost of this vehicle on the used sales went up $10,000. So I bought it for $60, right? And this is after taxes and whatnot. This car, if I were to sell it today with miles on it, would be sold for $70, right? It's pretty ridiculous how this kind of worked out. You know, and you know, something was telling me that this was the right move, and I'm glad that I can see it now. But moving my money into things that are non-affected by the future, right? There's a wave happening, and I think a lot of you guys realize that. There's a wave happening from traditional thought process to a more modern thought process, and whether you look at it financially, where it's like dollars to Bitcoin, right, or gas to EV, there's a wave, and you can't do anything but to just figure out your way along with that wave. And so we got in at a good time, and because of that, we're saving a lot of money, and the equity that we have in these things are rising. And so now I'm at ease, right? So when it comes to, you know, wanting to sell this car in a couple of years, I know, like, I'm at ease here, because I think I'll be able to take every single dollar I put into it back out and put it into the next vehicle, as opposed to any other car, any other gas car, Toyota, Honda, whatever the case. I would have lost money putting my money there. So knowing that I put it in a safe, protected vehicle, right? I'm much better off. So, anyways, I hope that wasn't too crazy of a deep dive discussion about my Tesla and the solar panels. I kind of enjoyed it. This is pretty fun. I love talking about this stuff. But hopefully the goal is to encourage other people, like-minded guys, to get together, start brainstorming this stuff, start thinking about it in this direction. I see successful people doing this, and I'm trying to mimic the maneuvers, mimic the recipe. And so the best way to do it is to look at your assets. So we're buying more assets in 2022. We're saving as much money as we can, and we're hopefully going to make it to that last bracket in the Rich Dad Poor Dad book right there, which is that rich category. So anyways, good luck on your stuff. Again, your sales, your transactions, every purchase you make in 2022, good luck on that. Think it through, think the long term. If you're young, if you're 30, I'm 29 years old. If you're my age, think about those 10, 20 years. There's great investments that you can make right now that will set you right when you're 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. So consider the long term always. And always be closing, baby. Alright guys, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And we'll talk next week. Again, Mondays, 2 p.m. is typically the time I try to go live. So yeah, thank you guys.